Netumbo, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa and outgoing Chairperson of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers from SADC member states, Ambassador Nandi, the Executive Director in the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation for the Republic of Namibia, and Chairperson of the senior officials, distinguished senior officials, the Head of Mission and the Force Commander of the SADC Mission in Mozambique, SAMIM, Chiefs of Defense Forces, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First and foremost, I wish to express my profound gratitude to the government and the people of the Republic of Namibia, and personally to Honorable Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, the Chairperson of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, for creating time to host this important extraordinary meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, notwithstanding her very busy schedule. We may all be aware that the Honorable Chairperson was a key player in the just ended Southwest African People's Organization SWAPO Party Congress, and in the same breath I wish to recognize with commendation her election to the Vice President of the ruling party SWAPO and the party Congress. We wish you well, Honorable Chairperson. Let me also thank Honorable Ministers that despite your busy schedules, you have honored the invitation to participate in this important meeting to discuss critical issues aimed at promoting and deepening peace and security in the region. Your participation in this meeting at such a very short notice clearly demonstrates your shared resolve to see a region that continues to be peaceful, stable, and prosperous. Indeed, peace and security form the backbone of the SADC region's sustainable development and integration agenda. While our region remains generally stable and peaceful, there are pockets of instability in some parts of our region. This reminds us that we must remain vigilant against the emerging threats to peace, security, and the well-being of our citizens. We should continue to ramp up collective efforts to address the prevalent political and security challenges of this region. Your meeting today, Honorable Ministers, will deliberate on critical matters for the sustenance of peace, security, and the well-being of the citizens of this beautiful region. Regarding the consolidation of democracy and good governance, the region continues to register successes. Since the last meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the organ in July 2022, two of our member states, that is the Republic of Angola and the Kingdom of Lesotho, held peaceful and successful elections, leading to a peaceful transfer of power in the two countries. The SADC Executive Secretary had an opportunity to be part of the SADC Election Observation Mission in Angola in August and in the Kingdom of Lesotho in August 2022. And through these elections, he saw firsthand how member states are committed to promote peace, consolidate stability, and strengthen democracy. And this is in line with our revised SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in order to strengthen peace and security in our region, we need strong institutions that promote the prevention and peaceful resolution of conflicts. To this end, the SADC Summit of August 2022 appointed new members of the panel of elders and mediation reference group. These structures, Honorable Ministers, were established to support our regional efforts to present and resolve interstate and intrastate conflict in the SADC region, and this is through peaceful settlement of disputes. Needless to say, Honorable Ministers, these structures need our utmost support to ensure that SADC preventative diplomacy and mediation initiatives are pursued according to our ideals as represented and as presented by the summit. Chairperson, it is against this background that your meeting will receive proposals for the review of the mediation, conflict prevention, and preventive diplomacy structure guidelines in order to ensure that the panel of elders is led at the appropriate level. The revised SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections are also being proposed for further review, so that the head of mission for the SADC election observer mission is at the former head of state level. And this is in order to be at par with other international election observation missions. Most importantly, honorable ministers, former or sitting heads of states have proven to command a high degree of respect from stakeholders, and this makes them relevant and effective persons in the facilitation and mediation of cases of conflicts. Honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you may recall, the 42nd Ordinary Summit in Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, also noted with concern the ongoing conflict in Europe and that it has the potential to bring political unrest across the globe, including negative impacts on socio-economic development and security. Before you in this meeting are some recommendations, which include, amongst others, the formulation of a regional framework that would outline and define key values, principles, and goals to influence a regional foreign policy and practice that will encompass national sovereignty, constitutional order, safety, and the well-being of our citizens. Honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will want now to turn to the security situation in Cabo Delgado, that's the province in the Republic of Mozambique, where we have, since July 2021, deployed a mission to support the Republic of Mozambique in combating acts of terrorism and violent extremism. The SADC Executive Secretary had the opportunity to once again visit Samim area of operation in November to appreciate the progress on the ground. The Executive Secretary is pleased to report that what he saw was the commitment of our young men and women in the fight against terrorism so that our sister country remains safe, and so that indeed the rest of the SADC region remains safe. It is gratifying, Chairperson, honorable ministers, that since the deployment of Samim, the mission has successfully conducted numerous targeted offensive operations in the theater of operation, and in the process dislodging and neutralizing identified terrorist camps and hideouts in several case areas of Cabo Delgado. We give gratitude to Samim and other partners fighting the same cause, as a number of internally displaced persons are returning to their places of origin due to the general improvement in the security situation. The task ahead of this body of the SADC organ, honorable ministers, is to consolidate and sustain these gains by providing the necessary support for the mission in order to achieve its mandate. Your meeting will today receive a progress report on Samim. Honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the security situation in Eastern DRC remains unstable and is worsening, with military attacks by the M23 against the armed forces of the DRC. Acts of aggression have been reported in the Congolese territory of Rutshuru, including the Barapost of Bunagana. This persistent, negative, and terrorist acts undermine the peace and security of the DRC and cause a humanitarian crisis that is characterized by displaced populations. SADC remains very committed to finding lasting solutions to the security challenge and continues to engage with the United Nations to enhance the operational capability of the Force Intervention Brigade, especially in ensuring that critical combat capabilities are available. In the same vein, honorable ministers, Chairperson, we recognize other processes that are aimed at addressing the DRC security challenges, and this includes efforts by the President of the Republic of Angola, His Excellency João Manuel Lourenço, as the African Union Champion for Peace and Reconciliation in Africa, and mediator designated to maintain the dialogue between the DRC and Rwanda. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with these remarks, it is my honor now to invite Honorable Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of International Relations, and also the Chairperson of the Ministerial Committee of the organ to deliver the opening remarks. Thank you. Merci. Obrigado. Asante sana.
Thank you, the representative of the Executive Secretary, for giving me the floor. Honorable Stanley Kakubo, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Zambia, and incoming Chair of the Ministerial Committee of Institutions, the head of our mission in Mozambique, members of the Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, I feel honored to welcome you warmly all to Namibia as we convene this meeting of the Extraordinary Ministerial Committee of the Organ on Politics, Defense, and Security Cooperation. And I want to sincerely thank you for accepting our invitation to this meeting. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, honorable ministers, that you are here today, and we are all ready to deliberate on the issues since our last meeting, when we met on the 17th August 2022 in DRC. Therefore, your presence marks the importance we have attached to the issue of peace and security in our region. Honorable ministers, this meeting provides an opportunity for us to collectively and objectively assess the status of implementation of the summit decisions, as well as to map out a way forward in our concerted efforts to ensure peace and security in our region. The agenda before us encompasses a wide scope of work that is covered by the organ, all aimed at implementing the decision of the 42nd Ordinary Session of the Head of States and Government Summit of our organization that took place on the 17th August 2022 in Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dear colleagues, Namibia, as a chair of the SADC organ, led the electoral observer mission to the Republic of Angola and the Kingdom of Lesotho respectively, with a view to observe adherence to the SADC principle and guidelines governing democratic elections. The elections in the respective countries were indeed peaceful, free and fair, and reflect the will of the people of the two countries. I therefore ask you, honorable ministers, to join me in congratulating the Republic of Angola and the Kingdom of Lesotho in the manner in which they have conducted their election. Congratulations. And while I'm here, Honorable Minister, on your behalf, I would want to welcome our colleague, the Honorable Reone Mupiyone, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, the Kingdom of Lesotho, who's attending our meeting for the first time. You are welcome to the family of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, Honorable Minister. So, having observed those elections, Honorable Ministers, it is gratifying to note that SADC as a region continues to strive towards greater democratic principle in order to ensure the role of law and good governance, in line with the SADC principles on guidelines governing democratic elections. Experience shows that peace and security is the backdrop for sustainable development. Therefore, we must never lose sight of our common vision, Vision 2050, whose 5-year implementation plan, the Regional Indicative Strategic Plan, provided a further guidelines to achieve our collective aspiration. Our ambitious regional vision is inspired by the African Union Agenda 2063, which places greater importance on the Africa we want and that we can only achieve if we have peace and stability in our continent. As a region, we continue to be very strong, a building block of the African Union, so that we maintain our track record of being a peaceful and stable region that can contribute to the strong and peaceful Africa. Africa can only be strong if we remain united. In this regard, in August 2022, the SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government expressed its dissatisfaction against the continent being targeted for unilateral and punitive measures through the Countering Marginal Russian Activities in Africa bill that was adopted by the United States House of Representatives. The summit reaffirmed its principal position of non-aligned to end conflict outside the continent and proposed that this matter be discussed at the AU with a view to formulate an Africa common position against interference on the African continent by foreign powers. That means our principles have directed us as ministers to formulate our position that we should together present at the AU level. Honorable Ministers, recent attacks in the eastern part of DRC have left hundreds dead and thousands displaced. This security threat by rebel forces continue to be a greater concern to our region. These security challenge threats our common inspiration for regional integration and further threatened our economic development that are so important for our region and for our people. In the spirit of collective security, our Force Intervention Brigade, under the command of NOSCO, has been neutralizing negative forces in the eastern part of DRC, and we commended them for their steadfastness. We, however, note the tremendous challenge our troops are facing, and it's us as a region who have to find ways on how best we can assist them. SADC expressed solidarity with DRC and continue to remain seized with the ensuring peace and stability in the eastern part of DRC, and further invites the United Nations to enhance its support to SADC and relevant SADC stakeholders to cooperate with SADC in this particular area. We applaud the recent initiatives aimed at ending hostilities in the eastern DRC. Honorable Ministers, you will recall that as a chair of the MCO, I was mandated by the 42nd Summit of the Heads of State and Governments to be assisted by the Secretariat to facilitate an engagement with the government of DRC with regard to the UN stabilization mission in DRC. Similarly, I was also mandated by the summit to seek audience with the UN Secretary General during the margin of the UN General Assembly in order to discuss the same situation in DRC. I'm happy to inform you, Honorable Minister, that an engagement was organized and took place virtually. However, when it comes to engaging the United Nations, I would like to thank my colleague, the Deputy Chair of the organ, Honorable Stanley Kakubo, who stood in for me and had a meeting at the Secretariat of the UN on the subject matter. We have presented our case to the UN through that meeting, and we have submitted what we require from them, and we are now waiting a formal response from the United Nations. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for helping me and stood in for me as I was not able to be part of my country's delegation to the UN General Assembly in September. Honorable Ministers, in the same vein, I'm pleased to highlight that the region continues to engage in the mediation efforts in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and some activities has taken place. Recently, His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, as Chairperson of the SADC organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation, concluded a one-day working visit to the Kingdom of Eswatini, specifically on the 18th of November. He had a courteous call to His Excellency, His Majesty, King Mswatini III, which provided an opportunity for the chair of the organ also to introduce himself in his capacity as the new chair. We are expecting, Honorable Ministers, that as we move forward, we may make. Having said that, Honorable Ministers, once again, welcome to Namibia, and I'm looking forward to fruitful discussions, and it's now my honor and privilege to declare our extraordinary meeting officially open. Thank you for your kind attention, and thank you for coming to Namibia. Namibia is a home to all of you. I thank you.